Have you ever wondered why two strains with the exact same THC percentage can make you feel completely different? Like, one of them will have you cleaning your house and chatting your mate's ear off, and then the other one will have you just melting into the sofa questioning life choices. For years, I thought it was just to do with strength, as in like THC percentage, or if they were the same strength, or at least somebody was telling me they were the same strength, then it was to do with indica or sativa, or how much percentage of indica they are versus how much sativa percentage they are. But that's not what today's video is about. Today we're going to be talking about terpenes. Because once I got prescribed medical cannabis, I could actually go and see the lab reports of each strain and see exactly what the terpene breakdown is. And then I would be able to predict how that strain is going to make me feel and if it's actually something that I want to go out and spend my money on. I'm Medicated, mate, and today we're going to be diving into terpenes, how they actually can change the way that cannabis makes you feel, and why understanding them properly can completely change your experience with cannabis. Now, just a quick note, of course, I am not a doctor, and I'm not a scientist. This is just my understanding and my experience with prescribed medical cannabis. So, with that out of the way, what actually are terpenes? Terpenes are basically just a natural compound that's found in nearly every plant you can think of. Not just cannabis, it's what gives oranges their smell, lemons their smell, lavender, pine trees, the fresh scent that you get. And surely as I'm saying all these things, you can kind of think about how each one of them makes you feel when you smell it. Well, with cannabis, terpenes don't just add flavour and smell. They do that anyway, but on top of that, it's the only plant that interacts with your endocannabinoid system. Now that's something that's built into your body. Every single one of us has got this. And that endocannabinoid system actually helps your body regulate mood, sleep, pain, and stress levels. And that's what makes cannabis as a medicine so unique. It can be used to treat so many different things that people have based on the fact that these terpenes will interact with your body differently for the things that you need from the medication. Cannabis is one of the few natural things that can tap directly into that system and change the way that you feel in regard to those areas. So when it comes to consuming cannabis, terpenes play a massive part in shaping how that actually feels. When I first started out blazing when I was younger, I used to basically just go off what someone down the street said. You know, this one's banging, mate. Oh, that one's strong. That'll have you flying, mate. Oh, you'll be stuck to the sofa off that. And people throw these terms around, and there was probably some truth to it, but at the same time, when you're trying to actually get that specific feeling, and then wondering why you might be sat there going through loads of cannabis and not getting the feeling that you're after, it's probably down to the terpene content. You could be getting super high quality cannabis on the black market, but it's just not providing what you need because it's not got that terpene content. And that's a massive reason why I'm so happy that I've gone down the medical cannabis route. But now I'm on a medical prescription, I can literally see a laboratory breakdown of those terpenes. And that is when it really clicked. That's when I started to realise that THC percentage actually doesn't mean as much as I used to think it did. Like, I used to always want to go for the stuff that people saying is this much percent and that much percent. If you look at the black markets industry now, honestly, in this country, people like to claim all sorts of mad stuff, and it's nowhere near that. When you look at people online like Drew is sharing, who's doing tests, and the stuff's nowhere near the claims, that's because, okay, they can get away with it, but also they know that that's what sells it. And that's a big problem because that's not getting you the experience that you require. When you think about it, high THC percentage and just aiming for high THC percentage is like trying to get someone to whack you as hard as they can with whatever they've got, but you don't ask them what it is that they've got in their hand first. Is it going to be a huge warm blanket that's going to make you want to feel like you go to sleep? Or are they about to throw a bucket of ice water over your face and get you energized and ready to whatever? I've had 30% THC strains lab tested on medical cannabis now that have made me feel energized, uplifted, chatty. And then I've had 18% THC strains, again lab tested, and they're making me feel sleepy. It all comes down to terpenes. They can completely flip the way that THC actually interacts with your body. So yes, THC percentage does matter, it does make a difference, but it doesn't necessarily change the way that you're going to feel from that specific strain of cannabis, if that makes sense. Let's just go through a quick few examples of strains that I think people who are watching this video are probably going to know about, so that I can kind of give you something to reference, if you like. Now, it's worth saying that terpenes don't interact with everybody's body in exactly the same way. So there's general guidelines of what people will say. This terpene makes people mostly feel like this, and this terpene makes people mostly feel like that. However, depending on how you are feeling to begin with, is obviously going to make a difference. If you are not in pain and you're having like stuff that's sedative and like effects which will make people's pain lessen, but you haven't got that pain, you might end up feeling very sleepy and then wondering why. So basically, terpenes interact with every single body's body differently. So you've just got to test it out and see what works for you. And just kind of make note and understand which terpenes are working and which ones are not. So let's look at a few examples just to kind of make it make sense. Let's go for Stardog first. It's a really common one in the UK. Major terps in this one are myrcene, pinene and caryophyllene. Now these three terps generally make people feel, as a combination, overall, especially with the myrcene that's in there, you find that you're going to have quite a sedative effect from Stardog. Now, not everyone, you'll know you've got a certain mate who can be on Stardog all day and it doesn't make a difference to them. But for the general rule of thumb, everyone knows that that's what you get from Stardog, which is why it's so popular with people. It gives you like that all-body calming effect. Next up, here's another popular one in the UK, that's Amnesia Haze, Amos, or whatever you call it, Haze, you know the ones. There is other haze crosses that will be similar, but specifically about Amnesia Haze, there's loads of limonene and loads of terpinolene. Now these are uplifting terpenes generally, and they'll make you feel chatty, energized, even creative maybe, and focused on whatever it is that you're doing. Then you've got UK cheese, if anyone remembers that one. You don't see it about as much, but everyone will know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this strain. It's known for like a strong, funky, almost musky aroma. Well, that again is mostly caryophyllene and myrcene, terpenes that kind of give you that relaxed, sedative, and all-body calm type feel. Just grounded, and if you're in pain, chances are you're not feeling it now. Then you've got something like Tangerine Dream. Everyone must remember this one. Maybe I'm showing my age. But again, it's loads of limonene in there. So what that does is it gives you that uplifting effect. But there's myrcene in there too, and that's a major terpene there. So you'll find that this will kind of evolve into a sedative, relaxing effect, but not quite as strong with an initial uplift at the beginning. This is what makes cannabis so unique, is you can treat so many different things and you can treat them at the same time with just one product. We'll go into the last one, which is lemon cherry gelato. This is full of limonene and linalool. Getting like a sweet, desserty type smell and like a balanced effect. It's finding people get like a balanced, mood lifting effect with lemon cherry gelato. And that's why a lot of people tend to see that helps with like things like stress and anxiety and stuff, and it seems to be quite a popular strain. But again, this is literally just scratching the surface. There is so much to be said for terpenes. There's a lot of people out there that are really struggling to get their head around this whole scene, and I know that not every single one of them is bothered about flavours and all these types of things. They're just trying to get something to feel an effect, and they don't actually realise that they're not doing what they think they're doing. So that's why I'm going into it as I am. There's been over 100 terpenes that identified in cannabis so far, and I've just named the main terpenes in each of these strains. There's always loads more in there, but you're just looking at which ones are the most major terpenes in that strain. As they interact with each other, they can create and layer different aromas, different effects, different flavours. It really does change it up massively. This all ties into something called the entourage effect. Basically, it's how cannabinoids like THC, CBD, and even flavonoids will mix together and interact with our bodies all together to create a specific effect. So instead of just focusing on high THC, meaning strong, think of it more about as a blend of everything that's going on in that strain. That's why two 20% THC strains can feel completely opposite in effect. And one thing I have noticed since being on medical cannabis prescription is best brands out there, and the ones that seem to be doing the best in terms of selling out consistently, which we know is what they want to do at the end of the day. Everyone is raving about them online, even though you might see the odd little bad thing here or there. Overall, if you go and experience it yourself, you'll see the certain brands that consistently preserve terps well, and they're the ones that tend to be doing the best. And I think that that's going to be a trend that we'll see going forward. Okay, yeah, there is definitely some companies out there that do not care about the terpenes, and they do not care about preserving the terpenes. These types of companies, I think, will be filtered out quickly through us repeat buying the companies who do give us the breakdowns that are actually there by the time the product comes. It's all great saying it has a THC breakdown of this, but if it arrives to you and the terpenes are completely dead, basically evaporated off, then it's not going to have as much of an effect. I will say there's definitely still going to be some in there. It's not like it won't have any effect, but it makes a big difference. And it's also how a lot of us will select and decide that that is a strain that we want to go for again. Because terpenes are so delicate, they basically evaporate with heat or just air interacting with them over time. So if you don't handle that product well through the harvesting, drying, curing, or even transportation process, then you can lose the very thing that gives you the reason why you want to buy that product in the first place. That's why I think you'll see certain producers and growers and even transportation and distribution companies that will survive long term in this game. It'll be the ones that maintain that terp profile when it actually arrives with us. Because at the end of the day, it makes a huge difference on how effective your medication is going to be. And let's face it, how enjoyable the experience is going to be. There's certain strains I've had that it's been like vaporizing a horrible tasting tea. And there's other ones that have tasted incredible. And I don't think all of that is down to the strains. In fact, I know it's not all down to the strains. You can see it by the way it looks when it arrives. You can tell by the smell, how it feels. There is a lot going on before you even vaporize it. You can tell. We all know this. If you've had black market cannabis before, then you'll know this anyway. But you might not know exactly why a certain strain makes you feel a certain way. You'll maybe think it's down more to indica or sativa. That's what I used to think anyway. And going through the medical cannabis system in the UK has given me that side of things where I actually understand it now. And I can predict how a strain is going to make me feel before I have it. So to sum it up, basically, terpenes are a massive part of why your medicine works the way it does and why it does the things it does and makes you feel the relief from the things that it is that you're struggling with. And that might sound strange, but that's because it's such a wide range of things that you can be treated for. As I say, there is over 100 different types of terpenes that have been identified in cannabis so far. We're just scratching the surface on understanding it all. So you may be surprised in what relief you can get just by picking a strain with the right terpene profile. It's the reason why one strain helps you focus and another one knocks you out. They're what makes cannabis such a complex and powerful plant. So if you are on a prescription or you are thinking about getting one, then just pay attention to what the terpene breakdown is going to be like. And if it's not listed from your clinic, go on medbud.wiki, search the strain in, and you will find it on there. 9 times out of 10, you will see a terpene breakdown. They're amazing over there on medbud.wiki. They put everything out. They'll always keep things as updated as they can. Just because a name of a strain sounds good, that's not a reason to get it, you know what I mean? You might think it is, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to taste like whatever it says in the name. It could be named that because of whatever other reason to do with the genetics, for example. However, it might not give you the effect that you're thinking. So just have a quick look, and you actually might be able to tailor your experience that little bit more than you ever have before. I know I have anyway. If you did find this helpful, hit the like button. I have got more videos coming on all different parts of the medical cannabis situation. I'm going to look at sharing my experience with dry herb vaporizers and loads more. So just stay tuned and just hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, drop us a comment. Let me know what you want to see in a future video, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just doing videos based off of what you guys are saying and what you want to see. Let me know in the comments, what is your favourite strain and what is the terpene breakdown of that strain? What does it make you feel like? I'd be so interested to know, because at the end of the day, this is a massive learning thing for every single person involved. And that's the whole point of me doing this channel. I appreciate every single one of you massively. I can't believe we're nearly on 1.5k subs now. This is insane. I appreciate every single one of you, honestly. Massive, massive shout out. Like I said before, bear with me. This is a learning process, but we'll get there together. At the end of the day, this is about sharing my experience and hopefully helping other people out there so that they can do the same thing and make a massive difference to someone's life. I know that's what it's done for me, and if I can do that for one other person, honestly, I'd be made up. That is the main thing. That is the reason why I'm doing this. So I've been Medicated, mate. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy.